नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्राये स्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna, devotees. Thank you so much for coming today. Today is the Srimad Bhagavatam class from ISKCON Portland. The verse we are going to discuss today is Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 12th chapter, 18th verse. I'm going to share the screen now so that we can all see the verse. Just give me a second. Yes. So today's verse, this one. So I will read the verse and you can repeat if you want to. श्रीराजोवाच अपि एष वंश्यान् राजर्षीन् पुण्यश्लोकान् महात्मनः अनुवर्तितास्विद् यशसा साधुवादेन सत्तमः। श्रीराज उवाच अप्येष वंश्यान् राजर्षीन् पुण्यश्लोकान् महात्मनः अनुवर्तितास्विद् यशसा साधुवादेन सत्तमः। श्रीराज उवाच अप्येष वंश्यान् राजर्षीन् पुण्यश्लोकान् महात्मनः अनुवर्तितास्विद् यशसा साधुवादेन सत्तमः। Yes, devotees, would you like to, read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Rajovacha Apyesha Vamshyan Rajarsheen Punya Shlokan Mahatmanah Anuvartitas Vidyasasha Sadhu Adina Sattama. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anyone would like to chant?
Mataji.
Yes.
Shrirajovacha Appesha Vamshan Rajarsheen Punyashokan Mahatmanah Anuvartita Spidyashasa Sadhu Vadena Sattama. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone else want to read?
श्रीराजोवाच अपि एष वंस्यान् राजर्षीन् पुण्यश्लोकान् महात्मना अनुवर्तितस्विद्यशसा साधुवादेन सत्तमा।
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice. Okay, then we will read the synonyms, translation, and the purport. Okay. Sri Raja, the all good King Maharaja Yudhishthira, Uvacha said, Api whether Ishaha this Vamshyan family, Raja Rishin of saintly kings, Punya Slokan, pious by the very name, Mahatmanaha, all great souls, Anuvartita follower, Svit will it be, Yashasha by achievements, Sadhuvadena by glorification, Sattamaha, O great souls. Sattamaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The good King Yudhishthira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? Purport. The four fathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of great souls and spiritual injunctions, such great saintly kings were trained up, and as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaja Yudhishthira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations the child would be born a first great devotee of the Lord, and more confidentially he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also leave an heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Sudras or less, and the government is run by their representative who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Sudra qualities manifested by lust and avarice. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low grade men do good to people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how idle the administrators must be. Therefore, they can be given charge of different posts. So, this verse actually itself is a very wonderful verse. Here, this verse is a question by a great, good king Yudhishthira Maharaj to the austere Brahmanas. So, this verse is basically talking about the concept of legacy. So usually, if we see in the material grounds, the legacy means what we leave behind, right? So we, because we are so much self-conscious and self-centered, we always think what we are going to leave behind us and what marks we are going to leave on this material world, so that people could remember us when we leave from this material world, right? So, in fact, in some families, the family members are trained in such a way that they will be, the proper reflections of their values. But if we could see, here the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, we can have a proper understanding of what is the legacy actually. If we all could observe the question itself, Yudhishthira Maharaj is this question actually. Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking the austere Brahmanas, right? But when we observe this question, Yudhishthira Maharaj is not asking, "Oh Brahmanas, will he be as pious as I am? Will he be as saintly as I am? Will he be as famous as I am? And will he be glorified for his achievements, just like how I was glorified?" No, no, he's not asking that, right? He is actually not giving any credit to himself. Srila Prabhupada in the purport is saying that he himself is a replica of his forefathers, but still he was not giving any credit to himself. He is actually humbling himself, right? He is talking about the saintly kings. Actually, the legacy here, what the means, the ruling of the kings before Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? So, but Yudhishthira Maharaj, to the best of his capacity, he followed all the traditions and also all the traditions given by his forefathers and predecessors. He followed, and he wanted the future generations also to continue the tradition. He actually he sees the values, in the traditions and also in the Vedic process given by his forefathers, and he has become a transparent medium and he just wanted, his future generations, also follow this tradition. He is not saying that, okay, Parikshit, I have followed, I have become an ideal king. I have followed all the traditions given by our forefathers and predecessors. So now I have become perfected, and you can just look up to me. You should look up to me, and you should respect me, and you should, seeing me as an example, you should follow all the traditions. No, he is not saying anything like that. He is not giving any credit to himself, and in fact, he is seeing himself as a servant to all his forefathers and predecessors, and he is also sees that he's a servant to his future generations also. So that is the actually humility of Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? He's very humble. And now by seeing his example, we can understand this is the legacy, given to future generations, right? Following exactly the traditions given by our forefathers, right? So now, in the present situation, we have Srila Prabhupada, right? Srila Prabhupada also left behind him a legacy of Krishna consciousness for all of us, right? We have a actually debt to pay to Srila Prabhupada, right? So how we can actually pay back to him? How we can actually become a humble representative of Srila Prabhupada, being a transparent medium and pass on this knowledge given by Srila Prabhupada to the future generations, right? So that is more important, we have to pay back, and we have to be very humble in transferring, in passing on the knowledge to our future generations, right? So and that is, of course, I understand, in our congregation, I see not only in our congregation, every temple, there were so many temples constructed by Srila Prabhupada disciples, and Srila Prabhupada grand disciples are doing very good. I am speaking here means I am telling myself that I should become a proper, replica of Srila Prabhupada. I am telling to myself, because all of you are all very great devotees and following, instructions of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, and all the temples are doing very good, including ISKCON Portland, under the guidance of the president. All the devotees are working very hard and doing very nice services and all that. So Srila Prabhupada is very unhappy with the present day situation. If we can go to the today's verse, he's saying here, here, so in the modern setup, here I'm going to the second section first, and first section second. In the modern setup of democratic states, the people themselves have fallen to the qualities of Sudra, right? The government is run by the representative, so who is ignorant of scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Sudra qualities, manifested by lust and avarice. So such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. So Srila Prabhupada is so much worried about the present situation. And not only in this verse, in so many verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentioned how is the present situation, how is the civilization in the present day, and also what is the remedy for that. Srila Prabhupada, we will go to Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 14th chapter, 20th verse. Now, Srila Prabhupada clearly he has mentioned, human society, however, has artificially created a type of civilization which makes one forgetful of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Modern society even enables one to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead's grace and mercy. Consequently, modern civilized man is always unhappy and in need of things. People do not know that the ultimate goal of life is to approach Lord Vishnu and satisfy him. They have taken this materialistic way of life as everything and have become captivated by materialistic activities. Indeed, their leaders are always encouraging them to follow this path, and the general populace, being ignorant of laws of God, are following their blind leaders down the path of unhappiness. In order to rectify this world situation, Srila Prabhupada is saying what we have to do. All people should be trained in Krishna consciousness and act in accordance with the Varnashrama system. The state should also see that the people are engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the primary duty of the state. The Krishna conscious movement was started to convince the general populace to adopt the best process by which to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus solve all the problems. So Srila Prabhupada is giving the solution also. So what is the duty of saintly persons actually? right? What is the duty of saintly persons? We can actually see here, uh, just a minute, we can actually see here, this is a kind of 4, I think. So here it is mentioned, this is 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter. The duty of saintly persons, therefore, is to take up seriously the cause of Sanatana Dharma and try to re-establish it for the benefit of the entire human society. The Krishna conscious movement has been started according to this principle, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kale dosha nide rajan yasti hi eko mahan gunaha kirtanadi eva krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet. The entire Kali Yuga is full of faults. It's like an unlimited ocean of faults. But the Krishna conscious movement is very authorized. Therefore, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who 500 years ago inaugurated the movement of Sankirtana, Krishna Kirtana, we are trying to introduce this movement according to superior orders. That is, superior orders means we are not using our own intelligence, right? Superior orders means, like, the legacy here we can understand all over the world, the legacy given by Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, if the inaugurators of this movement strictly follow the regulatory principles and spread this movement for the benefit of all human society, they will certainly usher in a new way of life by re-establishing Sanatana Dharma, the eternal occupational duties of humanity. The eternal occupational duty of the human being is to serve Krishna. Jivera Swarupaya Jivera Swarupahai Krishnera Nityadasa. This is the purport of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means Nitya or eternal, and Krishna Dasa means servant of Krishna. The eternal occupational duty of this human being is to serve Krishna. This is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Very nice. Srila Prabhupada is saying that. So, now we try to understand what is the duty of a human being who is born in India. That we will see now. Here in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 9.41, it is clearly mentioned, Bharata bhumite haila manushya janma yara janma sadhaka karikara para upakara. Bharata bhumite haila manushya janma yara janma sadhaka karikara para upakara. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of Bharatavarsha, India, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Not only the people who are born in India, but this is not only the duty of Indians. Here it is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, but the duty of everyone, in fact. And we are very happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. Srila Prabhupada is saying, one should know definitely that the best welfare activity for all of human society is to awaken man's God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this movement. And also the next verse, which is actually verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, is also saying that it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. What is the actual welfare activity of for other human beings? Giving them awakening Krishna consciousness, which is in the sleeping state in their hearts, right? That is the ultimate good we can do to the humanity, right? And also next verse is also saying that by his work, thoughts, and words, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and also next. So that is a spiritual benefit, right? What we can do, right? So now, how does the spreading of Krishna consciousness movement, okay, how does the Krishna conscious movement, spreading of Krishna conscious movement help society is mentioned in CC Adi Leela. Okay, I just go to that. I want to show that verse. Unfortunately, I missed that. I just go to that verse. CC Adi Leela, Adi Leela 141. So Srila Prabhupada gives very nice, how we can spread Krishna consciousness is mentioned here. So the Krishna conscious movement, this one, The Krishna conscious movement is not a sentimental religious movement. It is a movement for the reformation of all the anomalies of human society. If people take to it very seriously, discharging its duty scientifically as ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the world will see peace and prosperity instead of being confused and hopeless under useless governments. There are always rogues and thieves in human society, and as soon as a weak government is unable to execute its duties, these rogues and thieves comes out to do their business. Thus, the entire society becomes a hell, unfit for gentlemen to live in. There is an immediate need for a government with the people with Krishna consciousness. Unless the masses of people become Krishna consciousness, they cannot be good men. The Krishna conscious movement that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra still has its potency. Therefore, people should understand it seriously and scientifically and spread it all over the world. Okay, so this is what he mentioned. So finally, ultimately, what we have to do, to spread Krishna consciousness, and for us actually to become Krishna consciousness is given by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Whatever you do, this is a very wonderful verse. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So in this way, basically we can dedicate our lives, make our lives Krishna consciousness, and maybe try to give Krishna consciousness to the others also, right? Now sorry, I'll go to the actual verse. Now if we go to the actual verse, what is this? No, not this one. Okay, I'll go to this verse. So Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, he's talking about the forefathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings. So what saintly kings means? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Imam Rajarshayo Viduho, in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Rajarshayo means Raja Rishis. Raja means kings. Rishis means saintly persons, right? Who are the saintly persons? Saintly persons means, they don't have, basically, these are kings only, but they don't have any desire for a kingdom. They don't have any attachment with either with the kingdom or with the opulences coming with the kingdom. They don't want anything, just they want to do their prescribed duty of a kshatriya, like ruling the kingdom and taking care of the people, etc., etc. But when their children actually are ready to take the responsibility of ruling the kingdom, they just leave everything and just give the responsibility of ruling the kingdom to their children. They just leave to the forest, and they do tapasya and austerities over there for their liberation and or for the want of going back to Godhead. That is what they are. They are called as Rajarshis. Externally, they look like kings, but internally, they are saintly people. They have all the good qualities of a sadhu. They are very kind, their achievements are noteworthy to future generations. Their examples are quoted and cited in the scriptures again and again, again and again, again and again. They are actually ideal for everyone else in the society. Their nature essentially is a spiritual nature. There is an inert spiritual nature in them. They are devotees of the Lord. And this nature actually does not change with the era or yuga or place or circumstances, no. They are sitting on the throne, they are ruling the country, and they are ruling the kingdom, and they have every power. And they are very actually strict with the miscreants actually who are doing harm to the people. But still, they are considered, they are very saintly inside the heart, and they have all good qualities of a sadhu. So this is the actually the definition of a saintly king here. They don't have any attachment. All their attachment is with Krishna only. They are purely Krishna conscious in their heart. They don't have any desire for anything. They just do the prescribed duty. That's it. And if this is the case, if the kings are like this, that is the reason why Lord Krishna wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to rule the kingdom. he doesn't want the Duryodhan to rule the kingdom. Actually, Duryodhana has a capacity. He is capable of ruling the kingdom. He has a strength, sufficient strength to rule the kingdom. But still, he doesn't have control power. He cannot control himself. He is beyond his control basically. So if a person has strength, because and moreover he doesn't have bhakti also. So if a person has a strength but with no devotion, he is not fit to rule the kingdom basically. So because we have so many examples, right? All the demonic mentality kings have all power. Like Ravana is there, right? Ravana has so much of power and everything. He's capable of doing ruling the kingdom also, but he doesn't have any bhakti towards the Supreme Lord. Like Kamsa is there, Ravana is there, Hiranyakashipu is there. So many were there, right? They have actually power to rule the kingdom. They have energy, strength is there, but no devotion, and they don't have control, over themselves. They cannot control. They are under the influence of so many, so many bad things. So they cannot actually rule the kingdom, right? So that is why Krishna also wanted, Yudhishthira Maharaj to rule the kingdom. So if the kings are very pious and saintly, then how the people would be in the kingdom is explained by Srila Prabhupada here, right? They were very happy, pious, well behaved, prosperous, and moreover, above all this, they are spiritually enlightened, right? Happy means what? Happy means there is no lamentation, there were no miseries, like plenty of supply of all the necessities, from Mother Earth, no scarcity, of anything for anyone. There were no clashes between the different sections of the people because everybody are following the scriptural injunctions. People can live in harmony and peace, and because of prosperity, everyone are equally happy. Everyone has equal, wealth and everything, no scarcity for anything. So they are all well behaved. Actually they are trained up like that. They perform, so they trained up to perform their respective duties, like a varnashrama dharma, like 4 orders and 4 ashramas. So, and also kings used to do their kshatriya dharma very nicely, like collecting taxes and using the taxes for the welfare of the all the citizens. Everything was going very well. And vaishyas also, they used to do economic development by trading, commerce, by growing food grains and cow protection, plenty of milk products, cultivating, and milk, not only milk products but also minerals, and cultivating agriculture. So they are, and they used to pay their taxes to the government. So all these things were nicely done. All the one ashrama system was going on very good, and they're all trained up like these. They're taught like that, and without using their so-called intelligence, right? So they used to nicely follow the saintly kings instructions. Above all, they are spiritually enlightened. There was a systematic dissemination of transcendental knowledge. People should, at that particular time, people, if they were not able to understand, practically, that they are not the body, they are not the soul, but actually they are able to understand, what they are able to read the scriptures basically and follow the instructions given by scriptures, and also they were able to perform some sort of spiritual activity in their lives. So that is what done here. And pious means they don't do any they don't do any sinful actions. They do only good deeds. They are all well behaved, because they are trained up like that, and they are prosperous, and they have so much of wealth and all. They, all their necessities were actually fulfilled nicely. So they are not, that is the reason why there are no thieves or rogues at that particular in that ages. So now there were actually many examples. I'm going to this point, and so in that, like this, Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted all his future generations to follow the instructions. Moreover, he is very happy here given by Srila Prabhupada that by astrological calculations, the child born was a great devotee of the Lord. So he was very happy for that. And here it is mentioned that see here, he was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations, the child would be born a first grade devotee of the Lord. More confidentially, he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. This is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and fear personified for the upstarts. So we have so many examples, right, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are going to see some of the examples from the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many kings, pious kings, ideal kings, Rajarshi kings, monarchical states were established, and so many examples were there. Like Prudu Maharaj is there, Parikshit was there. Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj himself was there. Dhruva Maharajas were there. Not only devotees of the Lord, even Lord Ramachandra appeared when he appeared. How he was ruling the kingdom. So many things were right. So we will go to now actually some of the this is 817. This is the administrators, Swayambhava Manu. How much detachment actually. Swayambhava Manu is Brahma's son. He was very wealthy and prosperous, and but still he just like that he left his kingdom, right? So Swayambhava Manu. This is the chapter from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, first chapter. The Manus, the administrators. So I'm going to read this. This gives us an idea of how the state would be, how it is considered as a monarchical state, and what are the qualities of great devotees of the Lord, and how actually they are considered as an ideal king, and how the people were enjoying the ruling of their saintly kings. We can just see some of the examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many examples, but depending on the time I just share. So here the translation is saying that Swayambhava Manu, the husband of Shatarupa, was not at all attached to the enjoyment of the senses. So this is all coming by nature, not like they're not artificially imposing on something on them. No, by nature they're not attached to the enjoyment of the senses. By birth they are devotees of the Lord. Thus he gave up his kingdom of sense enjoyment and entered the forest with his wife to practice austerities. So he just like that, he just left everything. So here, all the Manus were perfect kings. They were Rajarshis. We already understood the definition of Rajarshis, right? In other words, although they held posts as kings of the world, they were as good as great saints. Swayambhava Manu, for example, was the emperor of the world, yet he had no desire for sense gratification. This is the meaning of monarchy. The king of the country or the emperor of the empire must be so trained that by nature he renounces sense gratification. It is by nature they have to, give up. It is not that because one becomes king he should unnecessarily spend money for sense gratification. As soon as the kings become degraded, spending money for sense gratification, they were lost. Similarly, at the present moment, monarchy having been lost, the people have created democracy which is also falling. Now, by the laws of nature, the time is coming when dictatorship will put the citizens into more and more difficulty. If the king or dictator individually or the members of the government collectively cannot maintain the state of kingdom according to the rules of Manu Samhita, Srila Prabhupada is saying that certainly their government will not endure. Okay, so next here it is mentioned about Lord Ramachandra. In the material world, we need a leader for the monarchy or good government. Leader is very important. Then leader is good, all the followers will be good. Lord Sri Ramachandra, by his practical example, showed how to live for the benefit of all human society. He fought with demons like Ravana. He carried out the orders of his father, and he remained the faithful husband of Mother Sita. Thus, there is no comparison to Lord Ramachandra's acting as an ideal king. Indeed, people still hanker for Ramaraja, a government conductor like that of Lord Ramachandra. Similarly, although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he taught his disciple and devotee Arjuna how to lead a life in ending in going back home, back to Godhead, right? Tvatvadeham punajjanma naitimam eti. So Arjuna, Krishna gave the message in Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, right? In fact, for all of us, he has given, right? So now we are going to cite some more examples, how is the Maharaja Prudu. He's a great king. So many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam, for us to take. inspiration. Like the king Maharaja Prudu is the best amongst those who are following religious principles. So kings used to follow all religious principles. As such, he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He will also be a great chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic. What is the example? King Prudu actually, chastised the Mother Earth, right? Because where Earth was not giving, sufficient herbs and minerals, for the citizens were starving. So Prudu Maharaj was very strict with the earth at that particular time. Even though he is very saintly in his heart, having all the good qualities of sadhu, but still he was very strict. So that is what they are. The duty of the king or the head of the government is described very nicely in this verse. It is the duty of the governmental head to see that people strictly follow a religious life. A king should also be strict in chastising the atheists. In other words, an atheistic or godless government should never be supported by a king or governmental chief. That is the test of good government. In the name of secular government, the king or governmental head remains neutral and allows people to engage in all sorts of irreligious activities. In such a state, people cannot be happy despite all economic development. However, in this age of Kali, there are no pious kings. Instead, rogues and thieves are elected to head the government. But how can the people be happy without religion and God consciousness? The rogues exact taxes from their citizens for their own sense enjoyment, and in the future, the people will be so much harassed that, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, they will flee from their homes and country and take shelter in the forest. However, in Kali Yuga, democratic government can be captured by Krishna conscious people. If this can be done, the general populace can be made very happy. So the Srila Prabhupada always wanted the leaders to be Krishna consciousness. In fact, he wanted devotees to rule the country, just like how Krishna wanted once upon a time, 5,500 years back. He wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to rule his kingdom, right? So this is and then the next sixth verse I'm going. The king Prudu will be as powerful as the sun god, and just as the sun god equally distributes his sunshine to everyone, King Prudu will distribute his mercy equally. Similarly, just as the sun god evaporates water for 8 months and during the rainy season returns it profusely, this king will also exact taxes from the citizens and return these monies in the need of time. Huh. So here the example of sun in this verse is very very appropriate. The sun is many millions of miles away from the earth, and although the sun does not actually touch the earth, it manages to distribute land all over the planet by exacting water from the oceans and seas, and it also manages to make the land fertile by distributing water during the rainy season. As an ideal king, King Prudu would execute all this business in the village and state as expertly as the sun. And this King Prudu will be very very kind to all citizens, even though a poor person may trample over king's head by violating the rules and regulations. The king, out of his causeless mercy, will be forgetful and forgiving. As a protector of the world, he will be as tolerant as the earth itself. King Prudu is herein compared to the earthly planet as far as his tolerance is concerned. Although the earth is always trampled upon by men and animals, he still gives food to them by producing grains, fruits, and vegetables. As an ideal king, Maharaja Prudu is compared to the earthly planet, for even though some citizens might violate the rules and regulations of the state, he would still be tolerant and maintain them with fruits and grains. In other words, it is the duty of the king to look after the comforts of the citizens, even at the cost of his own personal convenience. This is not the case, however, in Kali Yuga. For in Kali Yuga, the kings and heads of the state enjoy at the cost of the taxes exacted from the citizens. Such unfair taxation makes the people dishonest, and the people try to hide their income in so many ways. How meaningful Srila Prabhupada's purpose are, right? Eventually, the state will not be able to collect taxes and consequently will not be able to meet its huge military and administrative expenses. Everything will collapse and there will be chaos and disturbance all over the state. Next, we are going to go to the 20th verse. I just chosen important ones related to only today's topic. The king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his various chariots, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates in its own orbit from south. So here, the qualified king to be the king Prudu or any other king who rules over the state in his state as an ideal king should be understood to be the god in human form. So once upon a time in the earlier ages, these kings are considered as the avatar of the Supreme Lord, because they have all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord and also all the good qualities of the demigods, right? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the verses in the 12th canto mentioned that a devotee has all qualities of demigods and also the Supreme Lord. So they are considered as a god in human form. According to Vedic culture, the king is honored as the supreme personality of Godhead. He is a Rajarshi because he represents Narayana, who also gives protection to the citizens. He is therefore Nadha, the proprietor. Even Sanatana Goswami gave respect to Nawab Hussain Shah as Naradeva. He is a Muslim king, but still Sanatana Goswami has given that much value. Although the Nawab was Mahmuddin, a king or governmental head must therefore to be so competent to rule over the state that the citizens will worship him as God in a human form. That is the perfectional stage of the head of any government or state. Okay, and we will go to the 27th verse and see what Srila Prabhupada is saying there. No one will be able to destroy the orders of Prudu Maharaj. After conquering the world, he will completely eradicate the threefold miseries of the citizens. Then he will be recognized all over the world. He is very glorified. See, we have today's verse we have read, right? Will he be glorified for his achievements? The Yudhishthira Maharaj actually asked the Brahmanas. So when if he, a king like Prudu Maharaj will always be glorified. Even Parikshit Maharaj was, if we come to that case, Parikshit Maharaj was also glorified, right? So much glorified. Thus, he will be recognized all over the world. At that time, both the Asuras and the Suras, both will undoubtedly glorify his magnanimous activities. Hmm? Here, the Maharaja Prudu, this is the end of this chapter, but so many important, things to note down. This Maharaja Prudu completely uprooted all the miseries of his citizens. It is not possible for nowadays for the leaders, right? So there are many kinds of miserable thorns that pierce the citizens of the state, but all competent rulers, even up to the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, even up to the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, uprooted all the miserable conditions of the citizens. But Maharaj Yudhishthira, even though he is a very ideal king, he was not praising himself. He was very humble. It is stated that during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, there did not even exist severe cold or scorching heat, nor did the citizens suffer from any kind of material anxiety. This is the standard of good government. Such a peaceful and prosperous government, devoid of anxiety, was established by Prudu Maharaja. Thus, the inhabitants of both saintly and demoniac planets were all engaged in glorifying the activities of Maharaja Prudu. Persons or nations anxious to spread their influence all over the world should consider this point. If one is able to eradicate completely the threefold miseries of the citizens, he should aspire to rule the world. One should not aspire to rule for any political or diplomatic consideration, right? So now we will go to some more verses, and I will end. Very, very beautiful verses. In fact, we have so many verses. Before 2021, yeah. Okay. So, just as the Krishna is addressed in Brahma Samhita as Adipurusha, the original personality, so King Prudu, being an empowered incarnation of the Lord, is referred into in this verse as Adi Rajaha, the original or ideal king. He was a great devotee and at the same time a great hero who conquered over all undesirable elements in his kingdom. He was so powerful that he was equal in fighting to Indra, the king of heaven. He gave protection to his citizens, keeping them engaged in pious activities and devotion to the Lord. See, this is very, very important, right? This is the ultimate benefit a king can give to his citizens. He did not collect a single cent of taxes from the citizens without being able to give them protection from all calamities. The greatest calamity in life is to become godless and therefore sinful. If the state head or king allows the citizens to become sinful by indulging in illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, then the king is responsible. and he has to suffer the resultant sequence of reactions for the sinful lives of the citizens because he levies taxes on them unnecessarily. These are the principles for a ruling power, and because Maharaja Parikshit, Maharaja Prudu observed all the principles for a ruling chief, he is referred here as Adi Rajaha. Hmm? And then I want to go to 2122. Okay. 2122, yeah, it's coming all by itself. So 2122, purport last paragraph, we will just read the last paragraph. The word Praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prudu Maharaja guaranteed protection for Prajanam, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. Praja refers not only to human beings but also to animals, trees, and every other living entity. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher, his land, and his government. So not only the citizens were protected, but also the animals were protected when Prudu Maharaja was ruling the country. And now 423:37. Yes. 423 translation and purport. So, a pure devotee who is executing the different processes of devotional service may be situated in the transcendental position, being completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, but even he, while discharging devotional service, must hear, read, and induce others to hear about the character and life of Prudu Maharaja. This is just a glorification of Prudu Maharaja as a saintly king. This is a type of neophyte devotee. Uh, uh, you know, so this is a type of neophyte devotee who is very anxious to hear about the pastimes of the Lord, especially the Rasalila chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Such a devotee should know by this instruction. I mean, some people want to just read the Rasalila chapter, right? For them, it is an instruction. Such a devotee should know by this instruction that the pastimes of Prudu Maharaja are not different from the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An ideal king, Prudu Maharaja exhibited all talents in showing how to rule the citizens, how to educate them, how to develop the state economically, how to fight enemies, how to perform great sacrifices, yajnas, etc. Thus, it is recommended for the Sahajiya Adaniya of a devotee to hear, chant, and get others to hear about the activities of Prudu Maharaja. Today, we are blessed actually to read these verses. Even though one may think himself to be in the transcendental position of advanced devotional service, but still, what to talk of neophyte like me? So it gives all benefit. Now actually we can understand how, see, this much good king, we have actually listed all the good qualities, how he ruled, what are his qualities, and he just considered as the supreme lord, Naradeva, right? So but he was very strict when he was with the miscreants, right? So we will just see 417 how he was very strict with the yes, 417:25. So now just a minute. So okay, now with the help of my arrows I shall cut you. He is talking to actually earth. See how strict he was. Now with the help of my arrows I shall cut you to pieces, and with your flesh satisfy the hunger stricken citizens who are now crying for want of grains. When people are starving, the king didn't hesitate to even kill, the earth which is in the form of a cow, and give that flesh to his citizens. That is what is, love for his citizens. Thus, I shall satisfy the crying citizens of my kingdom. He's saying that. Yudhishthira, I mean, Prudu Maharaj, any cruel person, be he a man, woman, or impotent anch, who is only interested in his personal maintenance and has no compassion for other living entities, may be killed by the king. Such killing can never be considered, actual killing. King Prudu is saying this, so we should have compassion towards other living entities. You are very much puffed up with pride and have become almost insane. Presently, you have assumed the form of a cow by your mystic powers. Nonetheless, I shall cut you into small pieces like grain, and I will uphold the entire population by my personal mystic powers. Oh. He's very angry. At this time, Prudu Maharaja became exactly like Yamaraja, and his whole body appeared very angry. In other words, he was anger personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered and with folded hands began to speak. So finally, she was completely surrendered to Prudu Maharaj. And now the last verses I'm talking about Dhruv Maharaj, and then we can understand just uh, important verse 12, 4, 12, 12. We'll go to 4, 12, 12 once, and I just want to read that. The qualities of Dhruv Maharaj. These are all saintly kings, so I'm giving examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruv Maharaj was endowed with all godly qualities. He was very respectful to the devotees of the Supreme Lord and very kind to the poor and innocent. And he protected religious principles. Not only Prudu Maharaj, even Dhruva Maharaj protected. Maharaj Yudhishthir protected. Parikshit Maharaj protected. Parikshit Maharaj, even though he is very saintly king, Rajarshi, but he was very strict with the bull, right? Who is in the form of Kali, in the form of bull. He was very strict. He tried to kill. With all these qualifications, he was considered to be the direct father of all citizens. So, the personal qualities of Dhruva Maharaj are described here are exemplary qualities of a saintly king. Not only a king, but also leaders of the modern democratic or impersonal government must be qualified with all these godly characteristics, right? And here he is saying Dhruva Maharaja was a very devoted to the Brahmanas who engage in the study of the Vedas and thereby know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are always busy propagating Krishna consciousness. The state should be very respectful to the societies that distribute God consciousness all over the world. But unfortunately, Srila Prabhupada again saying, at the present moment, there is no state or government support given to such movements. As for good qualities, it is very difficult to find anyone in state administration with any good qualities. The administrators simply sit in their administrative posts and say no to every request as if they were paid to say no to the citizens. So, the state head should be very kind to the innocent. Unfortunately, in this age, the state agents and the presidents draw good salaries from the state and they pose themselves as very pious, but they allow the running slaughterhouses where innocent animals are killed. If you try to compare the godly qualities of Dhruva Maharaja to the qualities of the modern statesman, we can see that there is no actual comparison. Dhruva Maharaja was present in the Satyuga, as will be clear from the next verses. He was the ideal king in Satyuga. The government administration in the present age is bereft of all godly qualities. Considering all these points, the people today have no alternative but to take up Krishna consciousness for the protection of religion and the property. Just a minute. Last verses, just two more verses, and I'll end my. Please be patient, dear devotees. Just 13 translation. Okay, I'll go to 13. Translation is very important. Dhruva Maharaja ruled over this planet for 36,000 years. He diminished the reactions of pious activities by enjoyment, and by practicing austerities, he diminished inauspicious reactions. So, yeah, maybe this is a very big purpose. So I'll stop over here. Today's my sharing of the So now by today's verse we have understood what is the actual spiritual legacy given by Srila Prabhupada, and now the present day situation, how it was, and what is the definition of actually saintly kings, and what are the qualities, and how people were happy under the ruling of the saintly kings, and what we have to do as the representative of Srila Prabhupada we discussed today. Thank you so much, our dear devotees. Please forgive me if I shared anything wrong. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We'll end the call here.
Krishna Mataji, very nice. Really, you've absorbed yourself in this verse. A lot of research and I think very thorough explanation. I think you are a student of the Bhagavatam. So thank you very much for taking the time and effort on top of your other services to do this. Very wonderful, especially the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj and Rajniti and being the pure representative of the Supreme Lord. Very good. Thank you. Other devotees can please share appreciation, comments, reflections.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for all these collections of pastimes of saintly kings. Thank you so much. Very nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank
Very
you.
nice remembrance of these pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for all blessings. Jai Sachin Prabhu and Paramakarana Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, Mataji, I guess we'll see you hopefully sometime soon. Please take care and convey our obeisances to your wonderful devotee family who you're serving so nicely. And our regards to Shrikar. I see he's on the call, so hopefully he's doing well.